World War II, the most devastating war in human history, started with the dictator Hitler, who fell in love with Germany and was born in Austria, not Germany, in 1889. Hitler, who dreamed of becoming an art student in 1910, before the start of the World War I, repeatedly failed the entrance exam at Austria's top art school. Eventually, he went to the school and appeared. Unlike the fine art that the school wanted, Hitler's art was like an aerial view of an apartment building. At school, an administrator said he had a talent for architecture, so young Hitler changed his mind and moved to Germany to become an architect. Before World War I, Germany's national power was strong, and its cities were dazzling. Having fallen in love with the wonderful German Empire, Hitler eventually abandoned architecture and fell in love with books about the great needs of the German people. However, living in a foreign country without family, friends, or money was very difficult. A once-in-a-lifetime incident happened to the unemployed Hitler, who barely earned money by drawing pictures on postcards. In August 1914, World War I broke out. Hitler enlisted voluntarily in the German army and served as a liaison officer, which was said to be the most splendid moment of his life. For Hitler, whose life did not go his way, the military was an organization that recognized the merits of his work. He fell in love with the military in this way, and warmongers sprout began to emerge. And after Germany's defeat in World War I, he continued his military service in Germany. One day in 1919, when Hitler received an order from his military superior, no one could have imagined that this order would change Hitler and the future of all mankind. Looking at the situation at that time, after World War I, the German Empire had collapsed and the Weimar Republic was now established. In fact, under the parliamentary democracy that was only in name, dozens of small political parties were battling each other to try and seize power. In response, Hitler's military superior ordered him to spy on what schemes the small parties were planning, especially the German Workers' Party. Hitler went into Munich's basement bars for espionage. Hitler, who loved Germany, could not stand still as the party members lamented their situation negatively at the German workers' rally. He got up from his seat and began to give a speech about how people should live as great Germans. His appealing voice and his speech that roared like an echo tempted the hearts of all party members. The majority leader of the German Workers' Party, Anton Drexler, who was there, eventually invited Hitler to join the party. And in this way, he left the German army and joined the German Workers' Party. At every Workers' Party event, Hitler gave a passionate speech and the audience went crazy. Hitler, who rose in the ranks, eventually took control of the German Workers' Party, turning it into his own party in 1920. The name of the party was the National Socialist German Workers' Party, abbreviated as Nazi. In 1923, Hitler was arrested after a hasty coup d'etat attempting to take control of the Munich local government. The moment of crisis came when he was brought to trial for the heavy crime of treason against the state. However, he turned into a national star. When he asked why he had attempted a coup d'etat, he gave a distinctive speech exclaiming that he had risen to make Germany great again. In the eyes of the Germans, who had fallen into a sense of defeat after the war, he was seen as a savior. Originally sentenced to death, he was released on parole after 13 months, fueled by his nationwide popularity. In the meantime, he read fan letters and spent a happy time in prison. Hitler's autobiography was also written at this time. In any case, Hitler, who had suffered in prison, tried to expand the Nazi Party into the central political system by legal means rather than violence, but it was not easy. At this time, the incident that caused Hitler to narrowly escape occurred. In 1929, the Great Depression broke out in the United States when the United States, which represented 47% of the world's economy, collapsed. Most of the countries in the world collapsed one after another like dominoes, and Germany fell into a state of being unable to recover. In this economic chaos, Hitler knew clearly what he was going to do. In his speeches, his main weapon, he was shouting that what Germany needed was strong leadership. After gaining a favorable response from public opinion, he gained momentum and ran for president. In the 1932 presidential election, Hitler came in second with 36.8% of the vote. And the winner who became president with 53% of the vote was Field Marshal Karl von Hindenburg, a war hero in World War I. An unknown politician, Hitler, competed head-to-head with the war hero. Conservative right-wing politicians took advantage of the new political star's popularity, thinking that they could throw it away later. Among them, the person who tried to take advantage of Hitler's popularity the most was Franz Papin, who was expelled from the position of Prime Minister of the Weimar Republic. He proposed setting up Hitler as Prime Minister and that he would become Deputy Prime Minister, but once he entered politics again, he planned to manipulate Hitler from behind. However, it was Hindenburg, the president of the Weimar Republic, who unexpectedly interfered with this plan. He himself was a German field marshal in World War I. And at best, it meant it was out of place to play politics shoulder to shoulder with Hitler, an Austrian-born corporal in reserve. However, due to Papin's persistent persuasion, Hitler eventually became prime minister. However, Hitler begged conservative and right-wing politicians to pass only one law, which was the Enabling Act that changed the fate of Germany. This meant that the Prime Minister Hitler, who had taken over the cabinet, could make extra constitutional laws that ignored the German constitution at will. Germany's right-wing politicians, surprisingly, even helped pass this appalling bill. They firmly believed that Hitler's powers was theirs. In this way, parliamentary democracy in the Weimar Republic was broken, and the dictatorship of Hitler and the Nazi Party began on March 21, 1933. And this way, all right-wing politicians, including Papin, were purged, and the old scarecrow, Grand Chancellor Hindenburg, died. Then Hitler created a super powerful office that combined the president and prime minister with an invincible enabling act. He's the Führer, Hitler, who made Germany a dictatorship of the Nazi Party, prepared for revenge to make up for Germany's bitter defeat in World War I. Germany unilaterally abrogated the Treaty of Versailles, which it had made with the victorious country as the defeated country in the past, and declared the rearmament of the German army. After World War I, there was a demilitarized zone called Rhineland between France and Germany, where German troops were sent to protest. At this time, Allied powers such as France and Britain left Germany alone. Even the Allied powers victorious in World War I had suffered so much war damage and could not think that there would be another war in which tens of millions of people would die without going crazy. However, seeing the unresponsive Allied powers, Hitler thought he had won the battle of Spritz and excitedly produced the tanks and fighters. And Germany came up with an ambitious plan, the name of which was the Lebensraum initiative. Lebensraum means place to live in German. It was the dream of securing a space for Germanic peoples to live in Europe. That is, taking all European land and establishing a great Germanic empire. Its first destination was a glimpse of his homeland, Austria. In 1938, without communicating with the Austrian Chancellor, Hitler's German forces invaded Austria. Unexpectedly, however, the Austrians warmly welcomed the Nazi German army, and Hitler took his homeland very comfortably. His next prey was Czechoslovakia. At that time, Czechoslovak territory was pushing through the middle of Germany. Most of its people, the inhabitants of the westernmost region of Sudetenland, were of German descent. Hitler argued that the inhabitants of Sudetenland were mostly Germanic, so they too should join the Lebensraum. As Hitler continued to invade European land in such a reckless way, the Allies, including Britain, could not just keep watching. So in September 1938, representatives of the Allied powers, including Britain and France, went to Munich, Germany, to negotiate, and this pact was called the Munich Agreement. Germany agreed to the proposal that the British Prime Minister arbitrated. Yes, Germany take the Sudetenland but not interfere with Czechoslovakia anymore. The reason Britain and France came out with such a weak stance was because they could not afford to stop Germany. And just 6 months later, Hitler backstabbed the Allied powers and invaded Czechoslovakia, and the Munich Agreement was stigmatized as the worst fraudulent agreement in history. Poland was now Hitler's next prey after Austria and Czechoslovakia. Part of Poland was originally German territory, but Germany had given it back to Poland after losing the First World War. Hitler demanded the territory back because it was originally German land. Naturally, Poland rejected and intended to invade under the pretext. But when Hitler thought about it, he kept worrying about the powerful country to the right of Poland, the Soviet Union. If Germany continued to expand its territory like this, and then fought with the Soviet Union, if the Soviet Union intervened again as in World War I, the nightmare of being caught between the Soviet Union to the east and the France to the west was not to be repeated.